Bama alert. Bama alert. This is not a test. The Alabama Crimson Tide are coming to Tiger Stadium. This is not a test. The Alabama Crimson Tide are coming to Tiger Stadium.
All right. Well, I think that announcement was more than obvious. It is LSU Alabama week.
It's Hate Bama week.
LSU Alabama. The game on every Tiger fan's schedule that gets immediately circled before the schedule even comes out.
Oh, of course, I mean, it's a given. You know, every time LSU schedule comes out, Bama's on there. Every year.
I did not know that.
Look, don't be playing dumb with me.
Okay, so just for those who are kind of outside of the SEC, what is Bama week like?
It's a lot of tension on the LSU campus.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tension. Like for LSU students who do keep up with the football team and who are really diehard, it's a lot of tension around the city, and it's a lot of, and you could just feel the edginess on that campus as you know the game gets near. I mean, and we're gonna be at the tailgate this Saturday, so we're definitely going to be feeling a lot of that edginess. We're gonna be feeling a lot of that tension. It's gonna be a lot of energy in the air, and Tiger Stadium Saturday night is going to have a huge supernatural effect on this game.
It's the one game of the year where you can pretty much be assured it's going to be played after 7 o'clock.
And it's also a game where you can definitely assure it's going to be a war.
Yeah, and more than likely, College Game Day is going to be there too.
Oh, they are, and it's not the most likely they are going to be there.
Well, yeah, but they're not there every year because it's not always the.
I mean, it all depends on what type of matchup it's going to be. But I mean, it's always a game. No matter where both teams are ranked, it's always a game that's appreciated by the college football fans. It's always a game to where the eyes of the whole nation are on the game.
Yeah, and you always come into it. Well, at least I do. Just kind of a little bit nervous because you like to think that your team can beat Alabama until you're on the field with them.
Well, on this game, the ante's going to be up a lot higher for LSU. I mean, with Alabama, say if Alabama should lose this game, they still control their destiny as far as, I mean, a chance of going to the SEC championship, considering if LSU loses another conference game this season, and they still have a chance of making it back in the college football playoff run. With LSU, a loss right here, they can kiss their college football playoff hopes goodbye.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, so the pressure, a lot of pressure's on LSU, but I mean, we've seen LSU play under pressure before. We've seen them when they played against Auburn and when they played against Georgia, and how they're able to come in the clutch at times of duress.
I mean, defensively, more than likely, LSU can go toe-to-toe with Alabama's offense, but offensively, like Joe Burrow himself said it, you're not going to be able to score 15 points and win this weekend.
I mean, and it's one thing to say than to do it. I mean, it's easier said than done of, scoring more than 15 points on a very stout Alabama defense, who's probably the top defense in the country this season, being led by their linebacker, Mack Wilson, who is fierce and relentless in that front seven.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tip my hat off to. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. What's the quarterback's name?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, he said up to. I do give him credit for saying that up to date, this is probably the best front seven that they will have played. And he even said that LSU has a really good secondary as well. So
I mean, one thing I like about Tua Tagovailoa is that he's shown that respect to LSU. I mean, he knows what the deal is when going against the LSU Tigers, and Tagovailoa hasn't faced a secondary at all this season. He hasn't.
I mean, when you're Alabama, it's not hard to put up 50 points on ULF yet.
And and the way Alabama has evolved it's not hard for them to put up over 50 points on teams like Arkansas or Tennessee. If you look at how evolved the Alabama offense has gotten behind Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua Tagovailoa, he hasn't played in an environment like Tiger Stadium.
No.
He hasn't faced a team like the LSU Tigers. And a lot of people are saying, you know, and I looked at the spread for this game, and LSU's a 15-point underdog against Alabama this weekend, which if you look at LSU is one of the most elite teams in the nation when playing at home. First off, it's Tiger Stadium. There's no other atmosphere like it. And two, I feel that the spread, is a disrespect to the rivalry.
Yeah. And you just don't, I don't see LSU falling that far behind.
I mean, I don't see it neither. I mean, even with Devin White being out in the first half, in which I feel is a ridiculous call, and I just want to rant about this for a second. Can I, John? Oh, Lord, he took off the headsets.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I mean, is it cool with you?
Carry on. Proceed.
Huh?
Proceed.
Okay, so I mean, you look at the fourth quarter against Mississippi State. Devin White made Nick Fitzgerald force a throw. And Devin White was called for targeting. Well, by rules, since he was called for targeting in the second half, he has to also miss the first half in the next game, which happens to be Alabama. If you look at the replay, Devin White pushed Nick Fitzgerald. His face mask barely made contact with Nick Fitzgerald's helmet, and he pushed Nick Fitzgerald. And you know what the referees did? They made Nick Fitzgerald sit out the next play to make it even look worse. And then they want to suspend Devin White for the first half. I mean, none of my business. The commissioner's office is located in Birmingham, Alabama. Oh, Mac Wilson, did you see that game against Tennessee? Mac Wilson leveled Jared Garantano and targeted the living mess out of him, but wasn't penalized. Well, I mean, Bama needs him on defense against LSU. I mean, LSU got Joe Burrow, they got D. Anderson, they got Stephen Sullivan, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Nick Brossette. I mean, they got a good offense if they can be consistent. And you look at, Alabama's offense. I mean, they can be vulnerable with, LSU having Devin White out there, a linebacker. And so Tim Tebow said it best. Pretty much the rest were like, hey, LSU, we're taking out your best player. Good luck against Alabama. Rant done.
Oh, good. Okay.
So where were we?
You were ranting about Devin White.
It was a BS call. And everybody knows it.
Wow. So what were we talking about?
About, I think, LSU chances of beating Alabama.
Oh, yes. LSU's chances of beating Alabama. So the offense, I think the big thing is the offense has to come out and not go 3 and out.
Oh, they have to be consistent. I mean, they got the offense to be consistent. Their offensive line is capable of, holding their own with an Alabama front seven. I mean, look at what they did against Georgia. LSU put up 275 yards on the ground against a very stout Georgia run defense. Joe Burrow, he's capable of putting up good stats. He's capable of being consistent out there. It's just they got to put the pieces together. I mean, I had a lot of questions about their offensive line, but all them questions were answered for me against Georgia. If you look at how they play against Georgia, that's around the type of performance they should put up against Alabama.
Yeah, I definitely think they should. They're going to have to go out and get the running game going behind Helaire and Brossette, and even Joe Burrow. But no, 3 and out does not need to be a thing for this game at all. Keeping the Bama defense on the sideline for absolutely as long as possible will be absolute key to winning this game.
I mean, you want to keep the ball out of Tagovailoa's hands. I mean, you look at the Alabama offense and the trend that I've seen from them, they're a quick strike offense. Why do you think they're able to put up so many points? They quick strike on offense. They might do 1 or 2, maybe 3 plays on a drive, because one thing Alabama offense likes to do, they like to go over a lot. They got some of the fastest receivers in the nation. You got one of the best QBs in the nation. And so they do a lot of quick strikes. So they are a big play offense. Defense goes out, forces 3 and out, and it's a cycle that goes on for 60 minutes. And, I mean, of course, technically, yeah, they played 60-minute games. I mean, that's football. But they haven't really played, like, an actual, 60 minutes in a game.
Second thing is the LSU front seven has got to come out and put pressure on
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa.
You could just say Tua.
Okay, Tua. I can do that. They've got to put pressure on Tua. And they have to do it with arguably their top two pressure rushers, at least one out for the half, and well, their other one has been on injured on the sidelines since the Miami game.
I mean, Caleb Von Jason. I mean, that was a huge loss for us because he was one of our top rushers. But I feel that for LSU defense to be successful, one, with Alabama being a quick strike and they like to throw nuke bombs everywhere, keep everything in front of you. Two, stop the run and make Tua beat your secondary. The secondary will help their defense out. The secondary will keep everything in front of them. They got Grant Delpit, who is quickly emerging as one of the top defensive backs in the country. You got Greedy Williams, who is a top 10 NFL draft prospect. You got John Battle out there. You got Fulton out there in the secondary. That secondary will keep everything in front of them. The front seven, you got to be able to stop the run. Make Tua beat your secondary.
Run to the outside, really. Up the middle is not a problem for him, but as we saw against Florida and Georgia to an extent, or even Mississippi State for that matter, they have a hard time covering the edges for some reason when it comes to, play action.
I mean, last year what it wasn't a problem is we had Arden Key, but I mean we don't have that bona fide edge rusher. I mean, Coach Arena can dial up a blitz to where he can send Grant Delpit, but going against an Alabama offense, you need Delpit in that secondary. You can't be sending the safeties. This is the game where, I mean, you have to. This game for Coach Arena, it needs situational awareness because you gotta be able to call your shot against this Alabama defense. And when it comes to a lot of big plays where LSU are capable of doing, Saturday night's going to be one shot, one kill for LSU. Their window is this Saturday.
And another reason why I want to sit here and say that it's key to winning this game would be to put pressure on Tua, is that the quicker the LSU can put pressure on Alabama's quarterback, it's going to help that secondary and allow the secondary to potentially come and make game-changing plays.
And being in Tiger Stadium, I mean, game-changing plays, that's where it happens. I mean, and one thing the front seven, here's the front seven's responsibility. That's to get the crowd involved. Mm-hmm. I mean, 102,000 crazy Tiger fans, they're not there for their help. They're there to cheer you on. They're there to give you support. Get them involved. That's pretty much one of the best 12 men in the country is Tiger Stadium. Get the fans involved, be able to get pressure on Tua, and I have a feeling that in this game Tua is going to get very uncomfortable and he's going to get very unraveled. I mean, it's like two sides of a coin. One side of the coin, Tua has never really played in front of LSU. He's never played in Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night in Death Valley against LSU. This is going to be his first time stepping into such a loud environment. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, their environment, since it was mixed with Alabama and Georgia, this is of course going to be LSU. But on the other side of the coin, no one knows the unrelenting noise of LSU better than Nick Saban. He used to coach at LSU. Mm-hmm. But then again, it wasn't as loud as it is now. I mean, back when Nick Saban was coaching at LSU had a capacity of 95,000 fans. Now, the capacity is around 102, close to 103,000 fans.
Right. That's seats. It's not counting standing room only.
Huh. It's gonna be pretty packed.
Oh, it always is pretty packed for the Alabama game. There's no question about that, and that just doesn't matter where you're here or in Tuscaloosa.
But Saturday night is a big night for LSU, not only because they have a chance to become a new number one team in the nation, but two, pretty much their postseason hopes are on the line. And when I'm talking about postseason hopes, I'm talking about a chance of going to the SEC championship game. I'm also talking about a chance of making that Final Four. Not only that, I feel that, and Greg McElroy, because I listen to a lot of the former SEC quarterbacks. I listen to a lot of these commentators, and Greg McElroy said it best. Ever since LSU got shut out in the national championship game in 2011 against Alabama, LSU has yet to recover from that loss. I firmly believe that.
I can agree with that 100%.
And I feel that 2011 loss in the Dome, because before that game, LSU has never lost in the Superdome when it comes to a postseason game.
Right.
And I feel that game for LSU, I feel that it in a way, I don't want to sound like all conspiracy theorists or anything, but I feel that it put a curse on the LSU football program. Because if you notice, ever since then, LSU, I mean, it was when LSU plays Bama to where LSU season would tumble and fall. Like the year that LSU was ranked top 5, they started off 7-0, but they faced Alabama, and next thing you know, their season just fell apart. And then next thing you know, they lost to Ole Miss, they lost to Arkansas, and they had to go to, you know, they wasn't in the BCS conversation, they wasn't in the New Year's Six conversation, and so it's like LSU has a chance to finally put their demons to rest, and that's honestly that's bigger than postseason bids, and that's bigger. I mean, you want to get that monkey off your back. Mm-hmm. So I feel that Saturday night LSU can put their demons to rest Saturday night against Alabama.
Yeah, stop that 7-game losing streak.
I mean, it's gonna be a pretty good game. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, hopefully it's a close one, and a good one at that. Anyway, there was a game in Minnesota this weekend.
But this time there wasn't no miracle.
You know, more like Miracle Whip.
Also, Drew Brees had his lowest passing performance.
I know, 120 yards.
18 of 23 passing, 120 yards, a touchdown. He threw his first pick of the season, which, I mean, you're going against a secondary like Minnesota. It really doesn't surprise me.
Oh. Let's see. I'm a bit bittersweet about the Saints defense. Obviously, the secondary struggled in the first half pretty handily. I
mean, they went up against a couple of elite receivers like Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, but still.
I mean, P.J. Williams got burned at least 3 times by Thielen. And then I want to say once by Diggs.
But he did make up for it by catching a pick 6.
I know, that's the thing. It's like just as soon as you're ready to give up on P.J. Williams, he does something like that. So it's almost like worth having him on the roster just because he's worth a big play at some point in the game.
But what I liked was how the Saints front 7 were able to get pressure on Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
how they made him very uncomfortable. And I was looking at
impressive.
I went on ESPN, I was looking at the after highlights, and one of the guys said, look, as a defense, I'm just going to give it to you straight. As a defense, you can give him as many yards as you want. But if you're able to make the quarterback uncomfortable, if you're able to create pressure and force turnovers, you can be an effective defense. The Saints had their performance against Minnesota, it was not their best defensive performance. But what made it so effective was how they pressured Kirk Cousins and how they were able to force turnovers. And off those 2 turnovers, and the Saints were able to get points.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed with the continual development of Marcus Davenport.
2
sacks on the night. Another player that finally is starting to play up to expectations is Sheldon Rankins.
That's the guy I've been waiting on, because him being, you know, the guy of his size and of his nature.
I mean, we've seen some flashes from Rankins in the past, but you know, nothing really consistent. Now we're starting to see Rankins. It looks like we're finally starting to see him step up and be the player that we all hoped him to be.
And just the whole front 7. I mean, the front 7 has gotten a lot better over the past few weeks.
They have
pressure, and it's just the secondary is where I feel the secondary, they have the pieces to be successful. The secondary is the final piece of that defensive puzzle this season. They have the pieces, they have the players, but they haven't been able to put it together. You got guys like Marshawn Lattimore, you got P.J. Williams, you got Von Bell, you got Eli Apple. Since Patrick Robinson got on the IR, you got the players. It's just you got to put it together. You got to go out there and execute.
I'm assuming that Patrick Robinson is on the IR with the intention of coming back. Like, is he on the 10-week IR list?
I'm not sure. I have to look in more.
Because I know you can have like 1 or 2 players dubbed with the intent of returning.
True. I mean, like Devontae Freeman for the Falcons, he's on IR
Yeah,
because of his groin.
or it's what they did with what was his name? Delvin Breaux. They originally wanted him to come back in week 10 or something like that.
And now he's playing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Canadian Football League.
Aw. No one else in the NFL gave him a shot. That's unfortunate.
And Delvin Breaux he was a pretty good defensive back in the NFL. I mean, he was one of the grittiest guys I've seen.
Yeah, his first year, but then injuries just kind of ate him up.
But, shifting gears, I mean, the secondary, I'm putting responsibility on the secondary for the Rams game coming up this Sunday. You're going against one of the better passers in the league in Jared Goff, who, in my opinion, can be in the running for MVP the way he's playing. You're also, going against guys like Brandon Cooks, former Saints receiver. You're going against, Cooper Kupp, who was a third-round pick last season out of Eastern Washington. You're also going against Robert Woods at receiver. Todd Gurley, who's one of the better running backs in the league this season, and he's having a remarkable season at running back, who is very versatile. I mean, he had 114 yards rushing against Green Bay this past weekend, and he had 6 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown, resulting in almost 200 yards total offense just by himself.
Yeah, I feel like the Saints can shut down Gurley and then put a moderate let's say what I want to say here. Put a moderate hold on Goff's passing. I think that if they do that and they get their own offense going, they'll win this game.
Well, I mean, I feel they'll get their own offense going. I mean, of course, the Vikings have a much better defense than the Rams do as far as how they've been playing. On paper, Rams have one of the best defenses in the league, but I haven't seen it executed this season.
No, it's a wonder to me how the Rams are still unbeaten.
So, I mean, a bold prediction. I mean, the Rams are going to meet their match this Sunday. A bold prediction, Drew Brees. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a bold prediction. It's going to be a given. Drew Brees is going to throw for over 300 yards in this game. That's one. We're also going to see, the rushing attack is going to go, if not at over 150 yards on the ground. I do see a strong rushing performance from our running backs, from Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. And so I do see the offense really breaking out and redeeming themselves, because the offense did not impress me at all against Minnesota. So I do see them redeeming themselves this Sunday against the Rams, who on paper has a really good defense, but I have not seen it this season.
Yeah. Another stat that I want to go back to, I don't think we really touched up on this, was the fact that Drew Brees was held to, or quote, held to 120 yards passing. And yet they still won comfortably. That last touchdown drive by the Vikings was more or less intentional. They ate up over 5 minutes of time on that drive, and it was just like, I don't care if they even score here. This is fantastic.
I mean, pretty much, it was pretty much like, we don't care. We got this game in the bag.
Well,
it just shows that the team effort that the Saints put up to beat the Vikings. I mean, with Drew Brees being held to 120 yards, which I want to say is his career low, I want to say.
And still, I mean, that's on 18 for 23 passing.
And the Saints still put up 30 points, and they still won by 2 possessions against the Vikings. I mean, at most, the Saints were up by 17 points in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, in all honesty, that just shows, the team effort that the Saints put up against the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, I just did it. Pull my calculator out. 120 yards on 78.2% completion percentage.
And Drew just want to let you know, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the 120. I still got the accuracy, suckers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was at least 3 drops in that game that Michael Thomas and I want to say Alvin Kamara should have had.
I'm being honest, I missed the first 3 quarters because the power went out.
Well, that's funny. Power went out at work too.
Oh wow. Yeah, because I remember my job, Hobby Lobby, they lost power too, and it really affected our systems on yesterday morning because I had a hard time doing a return and exchange.
Well, that's because their electrical unit on the roof of LA Fitness just kind of blew up at one point during the afternoon.
Oh wow. Anyways, shifting gears from work, we're back on the Saints.
Oh, yeah. So, what did you? Oh, you said you missed the game. That's right.
Well, I was able to catch the fourth quarter, and I caught the first 3 quarters on GameCast.
Did you see the 50? I want to say 57. No, excuse me, 44-yard pass from Taysom Hill to Michael Thomas.
I didn't, but I heard it was awesome.
It's like, why don't they let Hill pass a little bit more? I mean, that's awesome.
I mean, because Taysom Hill can throw the ball. And that's one thing about the Saints offense, about how they use Taysom Hill. They haven't run the ball so much, and it's like, you know, Taysom Hill, whether he's going to get the ball to Mark Ingram or Alvin Kamara, or whether he's going to take it himself, the defense, of course, is a given. They're going to expect a run with Taysom Hill out there under center. The last thing they're going to expect is a pass. So what if Taysom Hill, he's in a shotgun, and he fakes it, and instead of keeping himself and running it, he drops back to pass. Well, the secondary just got caught off guard. The corners got caught off guard. And now the defense just turned into one big walking, running, breathing Chinese fire drill.
You sure you didn't see the play? Because you almost described it perfectly.
I'm just saying, like, that's what...
Because Minnesota was definitely caught off guard. They came up with the expectations of him running. In fact, they bull rushed him.
Well, I mean, of course, I mean that's just film. I mean, you look at, I mean, all the Saints used for Taysom Hill for was running the ball or just being a decoy out there as he gives it off to Alvin Kamara. And then the last, of course, like I said earlier, I'm gonna say it again. The last thing you'll expect Taysom Hill to do is run it, and I guarantee you, when they play against LA, the last thing they're probably going to expect him to do is run it. But
because Hill was able to catch Michael Thomas one-on-one with a Viking, not Xavier Rhodes. So,
one of the elite corners. Got you, Xavier Rhodes. Got you.
No, Rhodes was out for the game.
Oh, he was out?
I said one of the corners not named Rhodes.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I missed most of the game because the power was out. So I have an alibi.
All right. Well, so how do you feel about the Rams game?
It's going to be a shootout.
I can see that.
I feel that defense is probably going to be non-existent.
You think it's going to come down to which defense is able to make more big plays?
It's going to come down to, because like this game is truly going to be based off the moral of you're only as strong as your weakest link. And for the Saints, their weakest link, though they've been improving, is their defense.
Really?
I wouldn't say weakest link because I mean their defense has really came up really big for them this season.
They're secondary, and
it's their secondary,
and more specifically at the cornerback position.
So it's going to come down to, can the Saints secondary make a play?
Opposite of Lattimore.
Can the Saints secondary make a play? 2, for the Rams, can their defense finally actually live up to? Can the defense truly live up to expectation due to who they have? That's what's going to come down to. Whose defense is going to come up big?
Yeah, and if you watch the Rams defense, they have come up big late in games. To that, like for example, they were able to sack Kirk Cousins almost say back-to-back plays, take him out of field goal range in a game that was like, I don't know, 32 to 35, something like that.
But they haven't faced Drew Brees yet. So, and they're going to be in the Superdome.
They're going to be in the Superdome. They were in the Coliseum last year, but they'll be in the Superdome this year.
And it's going to be very hostile.
And
I think this can be a preview of the NFC Championship game.
I do. And also, this more than likely would probably end up determining who has home field.
Well, considering on how both teams do for the rest of the season, because for the Saints, it gets harder.
Well, the Rams don't have a, cheesecake schedule from here on out either.
And so, I mean, both teams are going to be battle tested, but I feel that this is going to be a game to see where they at. This is like the Ravens game. You had the top defense versus the top offense, and that was to see how good both teams were. And of course, looking at the game, both teams still have work to do. This is going to be another game to where, well, the Saints defense get to see how good they truly are. The Rams defense get to see if they're going to be able to live up to expectation. And the offenses, they're basically going. This is going to be a game to see. Okay, I mean, we're pretty good already. What else we got to work on? What is it that is possibly holding us back to getting over another hump or getting that other monkey off our back.
Oh, it should be a good game regardless.
I'm excited.
Well, that pretty much wraps up this episode of Cajun Connection. Find us on Twitter at AI Sports 3, on Facebook at AI Sports Network, and on Apple iPod. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Signing out.
Signing out, y'all.